What is going on, boys? Look, I have a crazy one for you guys today. I essentially made like a marketing manifesto of everything that I know about building a personal brand, and more specifically about how you can build a personal brand that will literally just make you money. If you're a coach, if you're a high ticket service provider, if you're a content creator that sells like a high ticket course, you are going to want to watch this, because I'm going to like lay out the entire blueprint about how social media is the thing that you can use to build your business. More specifically, your face being on the camera around personal branding is literally the biggest unlock and the biggest thing that I have found that will just print sales like crazy. I don't know what else to say. You're gonna want to watch this video. So guys, jumping like straight into it, right? My biggest case study ever, right, was a client that I have by the name of Ye Sloth. In 2022, when I first started this business, the very first client I closed was actually Ye Sloth. I had spent a lot of time in e-commerce. I had spent a lot of time doing these types of things for myself, but I had never done it for somebody else. And in 2022, Ye Sloth was the first person I did it with. So he came to us. He was primarily a TikTok gamer. He had a little bit of a following on Twitch. He had a little bit of following on Twitter, but like primarily his thing was TikTok. He came to me and essentially he was like, dude, like I'm spending way too much time on content. I don't have like an omnipresent brand, so like my only content is on TikTok, and to be honest, I'm spending like 15 to 20 hours a week at minimum putting this content out. So what was my goal? It was literally super duper straightforward. I said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We are going to leverage your personality, because that is the thing that like makes all of this thing move. We are going to triple the amount of content that you're putting out. At the time, I think he was posting like 4 to 6 videos a day. We increased that to be like right around 20 videos per day that we were putting out for his brand. And we want to decrease the amount of time spent because he's an actual content creator. Like, look, dude, you're gonna have to keep spending time making content, but we can minimize that as much as possible. So this is essentially the strategy. As a matter of fact, I go more in depth in it on this video with my goofy looking face on it. And we ended up growing 1 million followers in 90 days. Honestly, I could not have expected that to happen. As a matter of fact, in the first week, we didn't grow any followers at all. It was kind of just like, well, this is cool. Week 2 hits at the end, or maybe midway through week 2, we have like our first viral video. Like it literally got over 1 million views. And we were like, whoa, like I think we can do this. So literally, we kept posting, and over those next few weeks, we kept reiterating the strategy, right? So like what we found was there were 3 to 5 topics. One of them was like every time he mentioned the name Ariana Grande, people would go crazy. So we specifically made a content strategy around posting videos like this, taking those videos and then putting them onto other platforms. So like we were solving the problem, and he already wasn't spending a lot of time on it. After that, right, we were able to like just go crazy. Like the Ariana Grande posts, stuff like that were going viral. Like we literally went nuts on that stuff. And for like 90 days straight, like it was amazing. Like we just did everything we needed to do, right? Like I want you guys to say, like, understand, most people, especially content creators, don't get 1 million followers like ever. Like they just don't do it. Like successful content creators that are doing well with content do not ever get to 1 million followers. We were able to do that in 3 months, 90 days. Like this is a ridiculous feat. This is like I should literally print it out and put it on my wall somewhere. Like it is probably the craziest case study I've ever put together. And this is how I started my agency model. Like I started right at the top with a crazy client win, and I was ridiculously excited because I was like, yo, this shit is dope. And I just don't think I'm ever gonna do this again. So like, this is really awesome. Here was the problem. We got fired. And I remember after that 90 days, being ridiculously confused. I was like, bro, we literally doubled, or not even doubled, like we added an extra 1 million followers inside of your business. And to be honest, right, like I was ready to kick my feet up, spend all my time showing people this case study and being like, hey, if you guys want to do this, come talk to your boy. But I couldn't. And as a matter of fact, I'll be honest with you guys, what happened was the same thing. We went through about 5 or 6 other projects where we would get explosive growth. None of them were like 1 million followers, but like we very frequently would triple somebody's engagement, like 500% increases, like get attention around people's brands. Like when we first started this brand in early 2020, like the first half of that year, we were going ridiculous as far as engagement was concerned, and we were really, really milking home. Like just about every client that came to us, we had a very high success rate. But like the same thing happened again. Like literally, I want you guys to understand, I'm looking at my dashboards and I'm seeing that like we're getting millions of people looking at our products, at our services, at our client stuff, like millions. But after about 3 to 4 months, we would get fired. And I remember being ridiculously pissed off because like the problem that my clients would come to me with was, we want you to do our marketing. We want you to figure out how can you do this in a way that's effective, get eyeballs on our brand. And I did that successfully a lot, and I still got fired. And I'm sitting up here looking like, yo, what the hell? I'm doing what you guys are hiring me to do. I'm doing exactly what you want, and I'm still getting fired. Like, what does this do? If you're wondering what this has to do with like being a high ticket creator, providing services, stay with me, because I promise I'm gonna make this make sense. Just ride with me a little bit longer. So that was like I sat down for like a week, and I didn't do anything. I didn't take on any projects. I didn't work on any active projects. I literally just sat down and I just began to ask myself, why the hell do I keep getting fired? Like, what is going on? Like, why isn't this happening? What we figured out was that we had a very linear thinking. We had a very one-dimensional thinking around social media. In our heads, especially back then, in my head, I was just like, yo, I'm just gonna get you attention, and I'm gonna let you figure out what to do once you get the rest of the attention. Though you can see how we capped out there. So after that week, I sat down and I was like, well, at the end of the day, we actually didn't make somebody money. So at the time, I think I was only charging like $1,000 a client, which, you know, in my head isn't a ton. But as a business owner, it's probably hard to justify paying somebody $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 over several months if they're not actually bringing you in sales. So that was where I sat down and I wrote down here, like every other good idea, I just started off and I just said, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna completely tear down the business. So I tore down the whole thing. And I said, whenever I rebuild this, I'm gonna shift it into the world of B2B, not B2C, like the crazy TikTok follower that we had, because that is like an outlier. Literally, I don't think I'll ever get a case study that crazy again. But I'm gonna switch it. Why am I gonna switch it? Because in the world of B2B, sales is the only thing that matters. We can get a lot of attention, but what we could not do at that time was make that attention equal to sales. So I was like, all right, let's do it. The very first thing that I did in my attempt was I scaled my personal brand to about 9.7K in cash collected literally in just 3 months. That is nothing crazy, right? Like, it's not like I was raking in cash and could retire my mom or anything like that, but it was a proof of concept. It was like okay, this attention stuff matters. And the funny thing is, I don't think any of my videos got over like 2,000 or 3,000 views. We were still able to produce 9K in cash collected from that. It was the proof of concept. It was like, okay, people actually want to see this. People care about this thing. And all I have to do is figure out how to replicate this thing into someone else's business. Whenever that was my line of thinking, right? But whenever I actually sat down and I talked to all of my agency buddies, I talked to everybody I could on Twitter, I literally just talked to people, I realized that nobody had a good personal brand. Like 75 to 90% of people who are B2B business owners or agency runners literally did not even understand how to make a personal brand that made money. As a matter of fact, we would argue and they would say, well, personal branding doesn't work. I'll be like, dude, yes, it does. I just collected 9K cash. It works. And they would be like, obviously it doesn't. Truth is, they just didn't know what they were doing. They couldn't even conceptualize that social media was the thing that could make the money. I would eventually point them to guys like Amin Ghazi or Alex Hormozi or Gary Vee, who literally, they all run agencies, and those agencies do millions of dollars, but they would always say they're just outliers. These are like highly successful people who are able to get massive results because they've spent a lot of money in their personal brands with ads and things like that. In my head, though, I just kept saying, if they can do it, why the hell can't we do it? Even if it's on a smaller scale, they're actively pouring millions of dollars a year into this thing, not because they want to see themselves. I mean, maybe a little bit, but because it makes them money. So this is the really, really cool part. And like the next chapter, like the very next thing we did is I'm gonna walk you through like the strategies, like the 1, 2, 3 step process on how whenever we shift the business over to B2B, we were able to get some ridiculous case studies. Now, I put this part in here because I figured I would have forgot to introduce myself, and I did. So what's going on, guys? My name's Cam. I've spent like the past 8 years in social media marketing. I got my start in e-commerce where we had some ridiculous, crazy results, produced many, many viral videos, a lot of theme pages and things on Instagram when that was really, really popular. And I've spent a lot of time in the social media world figuring out how to make things work. Like, I don't want you to think I got my start in 2020, the Uslav case study. That was when I got my start in the agency world. But when I started in social media, literally was in 2016. And since then, I've produced well over, I would easily say, about 2,000-3,000 videos. Across all of those videos, we've gotten well over 50 million views, which I should probably adjust because I'm sure it's closer to 60 or 80 now. Here are all my socials. Fuck with me on Twitter. I post on LinkedIn pretty often, and then like YouTube. I like YouTube a lot. In specific, now that we're done with like intros and everything, our big wins once we shifted the business model was VitaPod. We had them like a 700% sales increase. I believe that was in 4 months. The Bunny Care, we helped them get like 250K followers. At the time of us actively running the store, they had like 100K in organic followers with 250K in sales. Did that in 5 months. With another client, they are like a coaching client. We were able to add them extra 50K in monthly recurring revenue in just 90 days. I would love to show you her profile, but like I signed the NDA, so I can kind of just talk about it like that, but I can't show you anything too crazy. But this is what we did, right? Like, I have way more case studies than just this. These are just the ones that I think stand out the most because they're the one with the big flashy numbers, but I can tell you about multiple clients who, like, we transformed their businesses. At the very least, we added in an extra 10 to 15K inside of their business, and it wasn't really that difficult because what we did was we just followed the strategy that's listed below and we made it really, really good. I want you guys to understand that before we jump into this, everything that we did and all of the things that go with it, I want you to understand we have tested this hundreds of times. We've reiterated the strategy thousands of times. Like, with every client we have, we start off with one strategy, change that strategy. I cannot tell you how many times because it's too hard to keep count. And that's how we were able to produce and come up with these things that just make so much sense to us because we've been able to test it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again across different industries, across different accounts in the B2B and the B2C space. So I'm going to primarily focus on B2B. This stuff works, and like, you're really, really gonna want to hear it. So step one, you want to craft a really, really good strategy. Each and every strategy is different. I know it's hard to say craft a good strategy because I literally talked about how many times I change my strategy, but you make slight tweaks to the strategy and the overall strategy stays the same. I'm gonna make this make sense in the video. What you have to understand when crafting a strategy in the world of B2B is that you're boring. Like, take everything out of your head about you thinking that you're entertaining or that you're a good storyteller or this and that and that. You are boring to 99% of people. 99% of people do not care about the world of B2B. 99% of people don't want to hear about your service. They don't want to hear about anything you have going on because it's boring. They want to watch funny cat videos. And like us in the B2B world, literally, we do not compare to funny cat videos. What you need to understand before jumping into the strategy is that 1% of people, probably less than that, want to hear what you have to say. You want to make content for that 1% of people, like this tiny, minute group of people who care about your particular service or space in the B2B or coaching space. You want to make content for them, and you literally want to ignore everybody else. And you want to hyper focus on that person, thinking that your content is outstanding. The next thing that you want to do is you want to answer the question that everybody wants to know from you. Tangibly, people only want to know 3 things from you. When somebody finds your brand, LinkedIn, your website, anything about you, the only thing that they want to do is find out these 3 questions. Number 1, who are you? Number 2, what can you do? And number 3, how can you help me? Tangibly, it's the only thing people want from your brand. If you can tell them these 3 things in a variety of ways, over and over and over again, you will inherently build trust and you will no doubt get a crazy amount of leads the better you're able to answer these 3 questions. So I want to give you guys like a really, really good example. This is my YouTube channel. Again, by no means am I Mr. Beast or anybody crazy like that. But in my YouTube channel, what I want you to notice is that like with these titles, you can just tell before you ever click on it, they answer those questions and they answer them very, very, very well. It's like I'm hyper targeting the people who I want to see my content with those 3 questions so that they can be answered almost immediately. I put them in long form videos because I want you to spend more time learning who I am. I want you to spend more time learning what I do, and I want you to spend more time learning how I can help you. Basically, like every other channel flows into my YouTube. It's my strategy. We'll talk about it in just a second. But how I can tell you this strategy works is I want you to hyper focus on the amount of views that I get per video. A lot of times I am intentionally not making videos that will get me thousands of views. If I wanted to, I would just make a video like how I did on my page before with some extremely successful videos. But now whenever I post, I am specifically posting to not get a lot of views because I'm trying not to get the attention of everybody else. I'm trying to get the attention of 1% of people because I know if I can get their attention, they will convert like crazy. So that's essentially what we do, right? This is like a quick strategy that I wanted to give you guys because a lot of people feel like they don't have one. This here says like your LinkedIn profile, and for it, to be honest, it can be used for just about any profile. Literally, the only thing you want to do is push people through content. We have slightly changed this up a little bit, where instead of your email signups, we use your YouTube channel now. Literally, it works the same. You just switched out email signups for YouTube videos sometimes, and you use YouTube as your nurture sequence. That's what I've been finding works the best. Earlier, whenever we first tested this strategy, and honestly, sometimes this strategy still does work really, really well, but I think it's always better to have people watch than to have them read. So if you want a strategy, here it is right here. This one works really, really well. Swap out emails for YouTube videos. It'll work a ton. This is essentially the strategy. Literally in my strategy, like I get people from my profiles, from my TikTok, from my cold emails, literally anywhere, and I dive them into my YouTube channel because I understand if you can spend more time with me and my brand, my personality, the things I say, my goofy ass attitude, like all of these things will eventually help you convert, and you're gonna want to talk to me. So here is the next part, right? You just want to pick 2 platforms. Don't spend too much time thinking about this, but essentially, you want to find 2 platforms that work extremely well. Typically, if you're on the B2B side, you want to be focused on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. If you're on the B2C side, you want to focus on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. This is just like a general rule of thumb. Literally, you can pick as many or as little as you want. I think it's very smart to pick 2 to 3. For example, I told you guys earlier, my strategy is in TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, but you can kind of finagle and play with it based on like current audience that you have now, audience that you hope to gain, and where these people actually spend time on the internet. I'm telling you right now, if you were in the B2B space, your audience spends their time on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So it's where you probably want to be spending most of your time. You can use some outlier stuff, but to be honest, it's a good rule of thumb. Now, here is like the toughest part. This is the part that it's really, really hard to explain because it's like my actual service and the solution that I have for it, I sell. Though I give you the best, I guess, alternative to that solution, right? You want to maximize content and minimize your time. As like a base, you need to be posting 3 to 5 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or at the very least every single day with a variety of different content. Now, granted, this isn't very difficult. I have tons of YouTube videos and tons of like things around how to actually do this because it's not very difficult at all, but you have to do it. And the truth is, if you're a one-man army, it can easily take you 15 to 20 hours a week. And if you're running an agency, then it's easy to understand why you've been ignoring building a personal brand because you probably don't have 15 to 20 hours a week. Though, at the end of the day, there is nothing that will move your personal brand forward like hitting the post button. So you want to move everything out of your way that allows you to hit post as many times as possible. Think of it as like a lottery machine, or like you're hitting the baseball and trying to get a grand slam. The more at-bats you have, the more time you pull that freaking lottery machine, the more people you're able to reach and the more offers you're able to get. So the very first option that I have, this one is like if you literally have no budget, right? Go ask one of your friends and have them record a video, very similar to the video I'm recording right here. Have somebody stand on the other side of you and just ask you a list of questions that have to do with your industry and the things that you're doing. You record that entire clip, put it into something like Opus Clip. It's a free video editing tool. They will take clips, put in all of the fancy captions and stuff, and then you use something like ChatGPT to produce your captions, or even better, to make the questions that you'd be asking or that your friend will be asking you. Take those clips, put them out. Honestly, this still will take a lot of time. Very, very easily can take 10 to 15 hours a week, if not 20. But it's a start, and it's a way to like kind of cut down on your time because you need to be posting content. The second one is get a small team together. This is like a post that I put out that I thought was really, really great and got a little bit of traction on Twitter. You spend $500 on a video editor, $300 on a social media manager, $150 on a graphic designer. You spend $50 on a content scheduling tool, and then use ChatGPT for all of your ideas and producing. For less than $1,000, you literally can make a really, really good brand. Now, this has a learning curve because how do you find a good video editor? How do you find a good graphic designer? How do you find a good social media manager? If you're not good at being able to judge the work of those people, or better yet, how to train those people on how to make really, really good content, it's going to be hard, and I'm damn near gonna say impossible for you to actually do this efficiently. But this is a really, really good alternative because literally the thing that you have to do is put together a very small team. This team can consist of 2 or 3 people. And if you do it right, if you have enough industry knowledge, putting that team together will alleviate you a lot of time. But at the end of the day, you're still gonna have to manage that team of people. So this is really, really tough. And my alternative, right, is that if you have no friends, if you have no budget, you just gotta work your ass off, bro. Like, take the examples that I gave you, do them yourself. Be a video editor, be a graphic designer, be a social media manager, just bust your ass to get it done. I would say option number 4. Option number 4 is just work like an agency like mine, but we'll get there in a second. The next thing you want to do is produce sales assets. Now that you have hopefully by this step got the content ball rolling, you're putting out pieces of content, like you're actually doing things that you need to be doing to push the business forward. Practice is always important. So I would rather you just post and understand that the first posts you put out are going to be bad, and then understanding that later on down the line, you have to reiterate. The best way to reiterate is to make sales assets. Remember earlier, I said everybody wants to know a few different things from you. Well, these are the scenarios in which these people want to know more about you, what you do, how you can help them, right? So that is what this has to do right here, right? So you got on a call with somebody 2 months ago, they haven't followed up with you, make them a video. The person who needs to know about more of your content before hopping on a call, make a piece of content for them. The person who like could easily turn into a lead because they're actively in your buyer cycle and you just so happen to pop up on their algorithm, make a piece of content for them too. This part is really, really simple because producing sales assets is ridiculously important, and it's how we actually convert people inside of my business, right? Like, we don't just sit on our content sessions with our clients and make them talk about things that nobody cares about or talking to the freaking ether, right? Like, we make them talk about things that their audience wants to know from them in scenarios very similar to this, because we've spent enough time studying their audience and we understand what their audience wants to know from them. So the only thing you need to do is produce content. We like to call them sales assets. They can be captivating videos like the one you're watching right here, looms, they can be past client results, like they can be a variety of different things. As a matter of fact, I have a YouTube video that jumps deeper into how to produce more sales assets that you should definitely check out. But more than anything, what you want to do is sit back and be able to produce assets, because those assets are the things that's going to make you money. The other things that are your personal brand that aren't sales assets, those will serve as trust, testimonials, like being able to say that you're good at your do. And these sales assets will be hyper personalized, because once you actually get the attention of that 1% of person, you'll understand how to actually do it. So like, you see how much different this is from like where we started, right? Like when we started first with Yeast Loft, we didn't have any of this stuff that I just went over, especially not the part about sales assets. Because when you're in B2B and clients are worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, it's important that when you get their attention, you make them feel special. It's kind of like a no-brainer, but trust me, it really, really works. So to summarize, what you need to do to turn social media into a high-powered content acquisition system, you need a really, really good strategy. I gave you one. Start with that one, tweak it over time. You need to pick your platforms. Gave you those two or three of them, you'll be able to rock and roll. You want to maximize content and minimize your time. Again, this is very, very hard to teach, but I did my best job to sort of put everything out there. And then the thing that you need to do in a abundance, is produce sales assets. Those pieces of content are going to be the difference between you just posting random ass videos and you actually making money through your social media. So here's the thing. You can do this alone. I am like damn near out of breath teaching this entire thing, and this isn't has anything to do with you doing it, right? Like it's 15 to 20 hours a week. I'm not joking. It will take you on how to do it, and teaching it is hard enough. So like executing on it is going to be very, very difficult. Or you can work with me. It took me about 18 months to figure this out and refine this process. And honestly, I'm continually refining it. And in a few months, I'm going to have to update this graph and this entire thing because it's probably not going to be the same. The easy path, though, is just working with my agency. What we do is we set it up for you on the one-to-one service. You hop on a call with me, one of my team members, and we will sit down and we will produce these sales assets for you. We will talk you through client positions. We'll talk you through how to make yourself an industry leader. We will put words into your mouth and be able to produce really, really effective content. Essentially, what you want to do is sit on the side of somebody else who really understands what they're talking about as far as producing content. You can overdo gaps. You can say the right things. You can know when to plug in your services. You can know when to build trust because we're sitting there actively doing it with you on a recorded call. My team then takes short form clips of that call, long form clips of that call to make YouTube videos and then TikTok videos. We distribute them out. Typically our strategy for like the typical client is we make shorts and post them out to as many platforms as we can to get people into our YouTube nurture sequence. After we get them into our YouTube nurture sequence, we send them different sales assets, different things that they really, really care about. And we eventually land them and get them on side of a call because we've already provided so much value up front. We've already proven our industry expertise. We've already proven that our strategies work and we're just able to print out money. So look guys, I want you, if you're here and you really want to do it for your service, not a coaching program, not some BS, like a thing that I will actually implement inside of your business and produce at a very, very high level because I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to get you results or you just simply won't pay me for it. Click my website link down below. kg-digital.com. Again, this is for SaaS founders, high-ticket service providers, and course creators that literally are ready to start printing money with social media. Guys, I'm trying to tell you, you're gonna really, really want this thing. So before I turn blue in the face from talking about this, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I have more free content on my YouTube, but what I really, really want you to do is click that freaking link. So thank you so much for talking, guys. See you later.